Welcome to the Audiobook Lovin Podcast, discussing all things audiobooks with the authors that write the stories and the narrators that perform them. Brought to you by Viviana, Enchantress of Books.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Season 3, Episode 21 of the Audiobook Lovin Podcast. And today I am chatting with author Ryleigh Sloan. Welcome, Ryleigh, to the Audiobook Lovin Podcast. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. I'm so excited about this. Super excited.
Yeah, I know. I'm like loving. Well, you're welcome. No, thank you for being here. I am, we're always constantly chatting online and on Facebook and social media and stuff like that. And I'm talking to you and I'm like, just keep talking. I love the accent. And just kind of goes to prove that we are suckers for accents. So.
And I don't think I have an accent and think yours is great.
Oh, see? Oh, I'm going to be the best of friends at the end of this. But why don't we start by having you tell us a little bit about yourself, how long you've been writing and how you got started? Because that's always fun questions for me to learn.
I have been writing for and I just used to have these stories in my head. My daughter was a terrible sleeper. She didn't sleep until she was about 7.5. So I used to lie in her bed at night, and to keep sane, I would make up stories in my head. And I had an idea for a story, and I had approached a friend, and she said, "No, don't be lazy, write it yourself." Because I was like, "Please, can you write this for me?" And she said, "No, write it yourself." And that's when it started.
Okay, so your friend said no, do it yourself.
Yeah, she was like, "No, don't be lazy." She's like, "I can't write." She's like, "Well, try."
It's good to have those friends in our lives. So, sometimes we need that shove off the comfort clip, not a push, a shove is much needed sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did we get from writing the story for, bedtime to writing novels and, everything you've been doing ever since?
Well, obviously, like everybody else, you send it to your friends and your family, and they would encourage me to keep writing. And my sister sent me a whole link about Amazon self-publishing, and she was like, "Oh, you can do this. You can actually publish." So yeah, I started that, and then I enjoyed it. And then this year in January, I retired from my job to write full time. So
hey, congratulations!
Just a lot of encouragement from the people who are in my family and such.
It's great when they can support you that way, and you're able to take that risk, knowing that it's a calculated risk, so it's okay, versus the, just going to jump off the cliff kind of a thing. But congratulations, that's a huge milestone. And
thank you.
That means also we're going to get a lot more stories then, right?
I'm such a slow writer, so I'm hoping this will help.
Yeah, that's okay. I know that we are, as readers and listeners, we're voracious and we devour them immediately. I mean, it takes you months to write a story, and then it gets published. We get the notification that it's now live, and we go and purchase it and we read it. And within maybe 24 hours, we're emailing you or texting you saying, "So when's the next one coming out?"
It happens. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I haven't started it yet.
I know. It's like, I didn't even know this was going to be, successful yet.
But yeah, I didn't listen to the good advice, because lots of people said to me, make sure you have 3 or 4 books written before you publish.
Oh.
And then I wrote the book, and I was like, nah, can't wait. And now I regret my life choices. So I'm hoping to catch up one of these days.
Yeah. Well, that's actually a good advice. And I think that it's not really spoken about out loud very often, unless you have some friends that are more on a business side of things. Like, you don't want to launch a business unless you have already some of the products on hand in stock, kind of a thing. But that's true. I think that when anybody wants to start something new, you kind of want to have 1 or 2 things ready to go. And that way you can, time it out. But then you also are still getting the DMs busting out with, "Ryleigh, when's the next book?" And even if you would have had that plan, I have a feeling, to shut some of us up, you might have just published all at once. So
yeah, maybe.
There you go. There's
why not
it.
publishing them all on the same day?
Why not? Yeah, exactly. Oopsie. No.
Yeah, probably. I'm not business savvy at all, so possibly.
Yeah. Well, you want to keep fans happy, right? You want to keep your readers and your listeners engaged, and if they're enjoying it, you kind of want to continue that feeling of euphoria. So I can understand where, authors would be like, here, take this and do that. And this, I'm like, and here I am busting out with no marketing plan.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I know you've contacted me quite a few times and like, I can help you. Or no, Ryleigh, please can you go back and add this to your post? Like, thank you for reminding me.
Yeah. I'm like, you have a newsletter,
No
girl.
links.
Can you go back and add it so people can sign up for it? Or yeah.
Or you don't want to add some links to that graphic? Sure.
It was just so pretty, and your covers are distracting too. I can totally understand why you would forget to put the links for your own book out because the graphics are so pretty and abs.
Well, this is the thing. When it's just abs and, things like that, you're just like, whoa, I'll use that excuse.
Yes. I know it's totally, I understand, but that's also why it's good to have those people in your life that goes, links.
Yeah, exactly. When you see your messages and it's Viviana, okay.
Yep.
Go back, edit.
Yep. Hey, my goal is for you to get the books out and sell them. And I know my listeners. Yeah. Because it's the thing. I realized that a lot of people would immediately click on that link and then get the book and buy it and they're done and boom, versus oh my God, that looks so good. Oh, I have to go look it up. And even though it's like one or two more steps for them, it's they won't, or they will. And then they go, oh, look, shiny. Like I've done that before. and then they forget, like, why was I on Amazon again? And, people forget. And then there's another book from another author and you're like, oh, was it that one? Oh, okay. There are abs too. So
yeah, I have the hardest time promoting myself. I just, I see a lot of authors go on and I read their posts and I'm like, I must have this book because of how amazing their post was, and they tell me I need to have it, and I'm like, I do, but with me, I'm like, you should read this book, or you can read this great book by. People are like, it's supposed to be promoting your book, but I'm not doing it.
No, it's the imposter syndrome. I'm trust me, I'm the same way. I can write the copy edits for you for your social media, your blurb for the book, your marketing plan and everything, and your business strategy for this one book. And then you would turn around and go, so Viv, what's going on with you? And I'm like, I tweeted the other day. I'm working on a TikTok.
Yeah.
So I hear you.
But I think that's when it's the same thing as giving advice, but not taking your own advice.
Yes, that's very much so. I was like, many times I'm like, damn, that was some good advice. And then I have my friend going, so you're going to take that advice for yourself? Nope.
That'd be silly.
Yeah, no, it's not for me.
Yeah.
But it's a combination of all the things too with you. It's like you have these really great looking covers, so they're eye-catching, and that's great. I have a sense of a theme in some of your stories that you have a thing for rock stars and bands. Yes. So tell us how the ideas come to you as far as for your stories.
That's a good question. With my first rock star story, I was watching The Voice, and with the UK voice, you have Danny from the script, and I find him absolutely delicious. And then you have with the US one, Adam Levine, and I was like, wow, imagine falling in love with this guy who's supposed to be your mentor. I thought, that would be a good idea. So it kind of went from there. And then an author friend of mine encouraged me to write the secondary character story. So that kind of evolved into the whole rock star obsession that I currently have. Yeah, and then with The Dark Side of Chemistry, which is my romantic suspense, I was inspired by Supernatural. And I was like, oh my gosh, what would happen if you were in love with two brothers at the same time? and that's
darn.
Yeah. So it's kind of things like that. And then it just, again, people ask for secondary characters. So I give them their story.
So do you find that when you're writing the story and that secondary character pops up, does he like turn to you and wink and you're like, you're going to be another book, aren't you?
That happens. Yeah, that happens. So sometimes while I'm writing the first book, I get a chapter. So they start talking and they start narrating their chapter. And then I'm like, I'm just going to write this quick. And then 20 chapters later, oh, shucks, I'm on the wrong book. And then I have to go back to the first book and then finish that book and then get on with the next one. So that usually happens for me. Is if I'm writing, so I've never actually written a book and released it. I think Cliche was the only one I did. I wrote that book in one go. The rest of my books have all been bits and pieces that I've written while writing other stories. And then when it gets to it, I continue their story, so to speak.
Yeah, as a character sit in the corner smirking, telling you, you got that right.
Yeah, it's really a very counterproductive way of writing, which is why it takes me so long to put out a book, because I've written, sort of a quarter of 17 books, and then I have to go back. But I do find that when I do that and let it sit, when I come back, I have a stronger story for the character. So it seems to work.
I have a lot of authors that I've spoken with, have said and shared that the characters talk to the author and get in the heads. And there's some that are very nice about it and say, I'm sure fans would love a story about me. So can you just put me in the back burner? One of these days you'll get to me. And then there's some characters that are complete assholes and will bust out with, so you're going to stop writing about him. And because, I'm hotter and I make for a better story. And
so this is my characters. Yes.
It's almost like I know where it's like, almost like I can see it in your room, right?
Exactly. I'm like, can you see my vision board? What's happening?
Yeah, it's you kind of have to go where the inspiration takes you. I almost said where the voices say, and I'm like, that's not going to sound right.
Well, I think most authors are sort of 3/4 mental anyway.
But there's a fine line. Yeah, I think isn't the saying there's a fine line between insanity and creativity or something like that, or brilliance and insanity and stuff like that. It's okay to go back and forth, and I like to play with the line sometimes, where I'm like, I go up to it and go nah, 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 and then I back off.
I love that.
As an author, someone that's listening to this episode is going to write that heroine that goes up to the line and goes, nah, 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 nah. Anyways.
Yeah, wait, just hang on, say that again. I want to write that down.
Oh, goodness. But it's an interesting too, because when you guys share some of that writing process on your social media and you're like, oh, I'm working on this. And then the next post, you're like, oh, no, that wasn't. Yeah, I'm working on that. And, we appreciate it when you guys share some of that process with us. Keep us involved.
Well, I wondered about that because I'm kind of like, do my readers just think I'm bonkers? Because I'll be like, oh, I'm writing this book and putting teasers out, and then the next thing I just go real quiet and then come back with like, okay, I'm writing this book, and they're probably like, huh? I didn't see the other one. So I'm kind of trying to stick to a plan and not announcing too much, so that I at least once I've finished a book, then I can start giving out release dates, because the minute I do that, then another story comes in and goes, you need to write me, and then excuse me, then I find I'm like in the middle of this big trouble.
Yeah, Or the worst part is, I mean, do they ever interrupt you while you're writing one of those more steamy scenes just to get them to switch?
Actually, that hasn't happened. I seem to be most focused when I write that. So I don't know what that says about me, but I can be beside the netball court at school, and I can be writing steamy stuff, and I'm in it. It doesn't matter what happens around me. I can just write it.
Well, that's good. A lot of authors tend to insert sex scene here and then continue with the story. So
yeah, no, I love to write the sexy times, definitely.
yeah.
I'm actually, funny enough, this book that I'm writing now, I'm a little bit nervous about writing the sex scenes, because in the 2 previous books, so in Backbeat and Risky Rockstar and Dropbeat, this character is one of those characters that's really, he's a player and he's inappropriate and all of this stuff. And now it's his book, and I'm like, okay, I need to kind of find the happy medium with this guy, because it's not going to work the way he is. He keeps poking his head and going, it is absolutely going to work the way I am. So, yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting too, how the story sort of writes itself in a way, and then you start tweaking things and kinds of characters, but you also want to make them likable. There's a lot of, little pieces here that you guys have to move around, because most of the time, if especially that type of character that has been a player, or we've seen aspects of them where we're going, you're just an asshole, dude. The question becomes like, how it becomes a challenge. It's like, Ryleigh, how and what are you going to do to make me like him and not want to strangle him? And you know what I mean? Like, how are you going to do that? And this is also where you go, hold my beer, and the story commences.
Exactly that. Exactly. True story.
Yeah. It's fascinating how some of these stories get written. And I had the pleasure of sometimes talking to you guys and getting some of that inside ahead. And then the book is written and I'm going, oh, damn, girl, you did good. Because I did not see that coming. Dang. So it's a fun thing.
Well, that's the dream for us, is that when somebody reads the book, go, okay, this is good. You fixed it. Because a lot of times people have said to me, I hate this character. And I'm like, oh, yeah. And I hate the character too in the beginning. I'm kind of like, wow, you're a real douchebag. And then sort of as it goes on, then they start coming around and you're like, whew, okay, I did my job.
Well, I think that you are the vessel of sorts for these characters, and because we're seeing them, especially when they're the secondary character, we're seeing them from one perspective and what they're projecting and what people perceive to have them be. And that happens in real life too. You'll see the guy that is cocky and swears he's the Mac Daddy and the biggest, flirt, and the guy that wants everybody to be the center of attention. But they're also the ones that will help you hide the body and or will be there for you when you're down, but not everybody gets to see that side of them. And how you guys project that, first of all, the fact that you can make us hate them at the beginning, and then we're like, stop it, he's just so sweet by the end of the book. It's like magic.
Yeah, I think mainly it just happens organically. I think the characters just do their thing. And a lot of people, I have a friend who read one of Colleen Hoover's books, and she was just like, whoa, she was so scared. And she's like, oh, what goes on in authors' minds? And I was like, oh, no. This is not us. So if my character has an opinion, it's probably not mine. Maybe it is. We don't know. But you can't put me in that basket.
Oh, man.
Yeah, people always read your books and kind of assume that, you do these kind of things, or, wow, one of my books is a hammock scene, and people are like, wow, your husband is so lucky. And I'm like, I don't have a hammock. So I don't think you'd agree. We don't have a hammock.
Yeah. And We're not getting one.
My daughter wants one for Christmas, and I'm like, oh, damn.
You'll never look at a hammock one again the same way, girl. Yeah, I had an author friend that her book, it was a multicast, and it's TJ London's Man of War. And I got to that one scene where there's also a hammock, and I'm like, and of course, that's just how life works. The number of ads I saw for hammocks after that, I was like, I am never looking at a hammock the same way ever again.
Wow.
Thank you, TJ. And she's like, you're welcome.
Yeah, when I was writing mine, my neighbor actually put a hammock up, and he had tied it to 2 pillars of his house, and the pillars had collapsed. And I was like, what were you guys doing on the hammock for this to happen? And she was like, I wasn't even there. So my brain automatically went to the dark side, and it was just an innocent afternoon nap on a hammock.
Sure.
So anyway, he's fine now. So there's that.
The opportunities that just pop up, right? So you're writing these books and you have these stories. What made you go, these should be in audio? I want these books in audio.
Oh, I love audio. I find it really hard to eyeball read at the moment because I just don't have time. It was a Jana Aston book that was my first audio, if I'm not talking nonsense. My memory is not as good as it was last week. And I listened to this audio, and it was Erin Mellon, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is a dream to hear, and because it's not just read, it's performed, so that was just a thing for me. I was like, if I can't get these books into movies, and I mean, they're never going to go into movies. And actually, once I had them on audio, I was like, do I even want them in movies now? Because it's just so much better. And the way they read, so that was just, it was a no-brainer for me. It was a bucket list thing. So yeah. And plus there's a huge market of people who don't eyeball read, and I want them to hear my stories. That's just the main thing. I just want people to hear my stories. So whichever way I can get them to do that, that's what I'm going to try.
Well, that's very really lovely of you, because I think sometimes people tend to forget that there is an entire huge group of individuals that do not read traditionally via eyeballs for a long list of reasons, from being busy, having so many things going on in life, not being able to concentrate, those that have some ADHDs or they're dyslexic. I mean, there's just, the list can go on and on and on.
Tons of medical reasons.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so to be able to provide, because I think that was something that was missing. I would talk to friends sometimes, and because they would always be like, so what are you reading now? And they would always say, like, oh, I wish I had the time, or I can't because I flip words around. And I'm like, you guys don't know about audiobooks? And then that opened doors, and they were like, they literally thought that the audio stuff was like those things that we listen to in Fortune 500 companies for corporations, where like, and today's HR lesson is, and we're going, no, it's not like that. No.
That is the thing.
No,
because sometimes you kind of, and it also depends on the narrator, so I understand sometimes people have stumbled across a book and it just hasn't been their voice, and it doesn't necessarily mean that the narrator is a bad narrator or anything, but just that voice just doesn't work for you. So I mean, my daughter can't deal with high-pitched voices. She has auditory issues, and so her speech therapist actually had a high-pitched voice. It took us a long time to realize that was a bad idea. So so people can stumble across an audiobook and go, oh, that's not for me. And I'm like, well, sit down, let me tell you which ones to listen to. And when people tell me they don't listen to audio, they don't like it, I'm like, what?
It's like,
What?
why? I ask because I'm curious that way, but also like you were saying, sometimes they will continue with the conversation of, I tried listening to it and the narrator, fill in the blank, was not, something that they could do it, or they couldn't focus. And that's when I tell them too, I go, well, you can listen and read at the same time, or switch on and off. And what was it about that narrator's voice that you did not like? Or was it the style of narration? If it was single or duet or dual, or were they just reading it to you or performing it? And they're like, they look at me like, that's a lot.
And you're just like, I haven't even started.
I know. It's like, oh, once you give me the answers to these questions, we're going to find you that book. And because there's just so many different things out there. I mean, like, I love Emma Wilder's voice. She has this sultry, husky, man, when she nails that sarcastic point in there, and I'm like, that's my girl, and then also her range of the guy voice. I'm like, it's Emma talking. Stop crushing on her. It's Emma talking. And Aaron does the same thing. Yeah.
That's it. Because I, for my Risky Rockstar book, I didn't know who my narrators were going to be. So I only got to, I think I only heard about it a month before. And and it was kind of like, oh my gosh. And when I found out I had Emma Wilder and Erin Shedlock, I was like, oh my gosh. I hit the money load. So I was so excited about that. And then I only got to hear it on release day. They were both amazing. Yeah. Both of them sent me a booth video, so I could see them in action and hear them, and that was just incredible for me. I can't even put into words how much that means to an author to actually see the narrator in the booth and performing your words, and they always make my books better. They just, they read them. I'm like, wow, this is good.
I wrote that.
And my husband actually listened to a little bit. He's not a reader, and he listened to a little bit of it, and he was like, wow, you really can write.
Like, did he get smacked?
What are you doing? I was like, what do you think I've been doing? He's like, no, but I mean, who really can? I was like, I think you should stop talking. So
I'm writing a scene right now where the guy says, oh, you can really write. He gets killed in the next chapter.
Dies.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Twin brain.
Yeah. Your husband's be like, you're not allowed to talk to her anymore. Too bad. Delete. No, but I mean, I don't ever want to say that they make a book better, because the book and the words are already there, and they are working with something else what is there. Otherwise, they're going to be making things up, right? Which some can do because they're also authors themselves. But I think that what the narrators do is provide a specific way of listening and reading to it, because some of us are what we call, in the mood readers. If I'm in a pissy mood and I'm like, ugh, men suck, I may not be at a good point to listen to a rom-com. And, and so reading it might not be a good idea, but then I'm hearing it, and that's how it was supposed to be read. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, I must have misread that. Sorry. This is review.
Yes, that's it. I think that's it. And for me personally, I can't gauge whether my book is good or not until I've heard it. So I'm just like, put it out to beta, and if they like it, then I'm like, okay, cool. We're gonna do the thing. And then I listen to it, and I'm like, wow, and then laugh. My daughter's always like, why are you laughing at your own book? Because I have to go back and listen for the future books.
Because mommy's funny, that's why.
Funny. So, but she's like, you realize that you wrote that? I'm like, yes, I do. It just amuses me to no end. And sometimes I forget the things I write, and then I listen, and I'm like, wow, that was funny. So
yeah, well, it's a lot. Amazing. It's a lot of stuff that you go through when you're writing, and then the editing, and then you're trying to remember, did that stay in or did I take that out? Did I change the verbiage around or the sentence structure? And so when you're seeing it, sometimes you don't even realize that that was what you were originally looking for, because that's also why I don't edit. And I'm not a beta reader from that perspective. I do more of alpha reading, because my eyes and my brain correct the errors and I won't see them.
Yes.
And so I know my limitations. But you forget. I mean, there's been times where I've written stuff for one thing or another, even sometimes grocery lists, and you're going, wait, did I add that one or not? So to be able to listen, I mean, if anyone wants to like read my grocery list, Emma, it would make it makes it significantly better and more entertaining. And wow, does the time would pass by significantly better if it was like, Viviana, go down aisle 7 and get the sugar. Yeah, Emma Wilder.
It has to be the sultry sugar.
Yeah. Or when she gets feisty in a book, she's like, you really passed by the sugar 3 times, Viviana. How many? Really?
Exactly.
I just wanted to hear the
in my case, it would be put the potato chips down. Put them down.
Yeah, I may have to check with Emma later today. Like, were your ears burning?
Yeah.
All good, I swear.
But that's the thing. It's all good. I've been tempted to write things into my story, like just at the end, and have narrators read them to me. So, Ryleigh, Jason Clark, telling me I'm beautiful and I need to wake up, and just small things like that. And it's like I feel like he'd be on to me. I did that.
No, I mean, you've been in this world long enough, and you know enough authors that there's moments too where they're like, especially when they're part of the casting and they know that they've gotten it, the contract has been signed, that they have, and I'm just inserting Jason Clark here because you mentioned him. They're like, what can I get him to say that's just going to be like,
Yeah, you have to say this because I paid you.
Yeah. At least there's that. Yeah. I love it when they humor us, and both the ladies and the males, when they humor us, when sometimes the fans will bust out with, I say this, but I'm also going, they're not puppets, bro. They're people. And I appreciate it. I do. I get it. I'm a fan too, but there's a line. And I think sometimes some fans cross it in hopes, but I know that most of the time they are excited and forward, and they're like, oh my God, he said my name. And I'm like, yeah, but let's just tone it down a little bit. We don't want to scare them. You don't want to scare them.
We're all on the other side getting a bit stalkerish, like typing out our message, when Jason Clark's live, like, and then delete. That's not what we do. You should get up. Still not what we do. So yeah.
It's hard for, I think, that sometimes when you're the author and you're the client and you're the employer, sometimes I'm like, pretend to wear the HR hat, even though this is a freelancing business, because that's the last thing I want to do is ever insult the narrators and their integrity and treat them like a piece of meat. I mean, I get the satisfaction when you write your stories, girl, and they're saying what you wrote.
Yes, exactly. Or sometimes you forget that you made them say things, and you're like, oh my gosh, I have written Jason Clark and Erin apology emails. People like, I am so sorry I made you say these things, and they're like, narrators aren't squeamish.
No.
I'm like, oh yeah, it's us, the authors, that are squeamish. We're sitting here dying, and they're just reading it. It's just a job, and they
compartmentalize it too. Yeah, and then you hear a sample of them again, just mentioning Jason Clark because he's on the subject right now, and he does a live, and you're going, shit, what I sent you was tame compared to that sample.
Yes, exactly. And then you're like, okay,
now I have to hold my beer.
Exactly.
Oh goodness.
Yeah.
Jason, I love you. Bye.
I mean, there are a few narrators that I write certain things in my books to make them say it, but I'm not apologizing. I am apologizing.
Well, I mean,
sorry, not sorry.
But at this point, now that you know that you're going to have the book's going to be doing an audio and you're writing the story, obviously there's going to be a few things where you're going, I'm going to make them say that. But do you write now the stories knowing that with the audio in mind, and then also like if you know this person's going to get cast, specifically a little bit more towards them?
Yeah. So with Drop Beats, because at the end of Backbeat, I'd written the epilogue from Maddie, the main character in Drop Beats. I keep having to refer to my bookshelf to see, tripping over my words and stuttering and all sorts. But Maddie is the main character in Drop Beats, and Erin obviously read the epilogue. And so when I was writing Drop Beats, I was writing it with Erin's voice in my head. And then Jason too. So a lot of times, so for Collateral Damage, I knew that it was going to be Jason Clarke. So I kept writing Tank's name. I kept saying Jason. And then I would have to go back and edit all the Jasons out of my manuscript because I was like that. So with this next one, I have the characters. I know who they are. The narrators. I know who they are. Audibly Addicted secured me my favorites. So shout out to them. And I'm so excited. I can't wait. So I do hear their voices in my head when I write the book, and then sometimes I think, okay, you're gonna say this. Sorry.
Sorry, not sorry. So for that book that you already have, that you say you were writing it, and that's going to be that you already have the narrative secured. Do you know when the announcement's going to happen so the rest of us can be all excited as you are?
So it's going to be spring.
Okay.
2023. It is far away. But this year, I've got the Chicago trip coming up, and I've got my sister coming from the UK. So there's going to be a lot of time that I can't write. And then plus, because the narrators are so popular, we have to book them 6 months out. So, so I didn't want to book and then be chasing a deadline. So I just kind of chose like a really far kind of date and just went, okay, I'm definitely going to be done. And so it goes to narration on the 24th of February.
Okay. So this is where the listeners and the readers will add it to their calendar of those little notes that, the book that she's writing, that she's really excited about the narrators. So a circle around here that we're going to possibly start getting some announcements and some teasers. So we love that stuff.
The best. I mean, I was just like, these are my dream teams. Can you? And I was just like, Mo, please, can you try? And she came back and she was like, sure, we got that.
Yeah, it's amazing how a lot of authors, especially when they're first starting, don't know that they can be part of that casting process. And I've tried to share that knowledge, and I don't want to say educate, but I mean, share that skill, that information with the authors, because I'm like, what's your wish list and why, aside from them being popular and potentially help with the marketing of stuff, but why, what is it about that individual that you want to voice your characters? And I always ask the authors, who is your dream cast? And a lot of authors don't realize that they can work with the production company to try to get that narrator cast for that book. And worst case scenario, like there was one time someone was like, I want Sebastian York. And I'm like, girl, so do the rest of us. And
The entire universe.
but there's a waiting list, and I go, but what is it about his voice that that you like, that you're like, it's him? And that's what we got that information from that author, and then we were able to cast someone that's in a similar range. And then she heard him, and she's like, okay, put me on Sebastian's wait list, but add me to this one's. And I'm like, sold. Yeah. So it's good that we're having these conversations.
Absolutely. And it's just, you can't kind of just cast your book on your favorite narrator as much as we all want to, because sometimes the voice doesn't fit.
Well, I'm glad that you're mentioning it, because I think a lot of times authors will stop the, oh, he's great because I've heard him, I love his voice, or he has a good following, and that will help from a business side of things and everything. I go, but is he the right choice for your character? There's some narrators, I mean, if that character has a British accent, there's some narrators out there that I love dearly, and some that I'm like, no, boy, that's not going to work for you. And it's okay. And it's like, is it going to be a multicast, like a duet, or, so you need to find someone that can do both the British accent and then a normal accent or unaccented, voice. And there's a lot that goes into it. And so I'm glad that you see that, and that, you're sharing that information, because it's true. Not every narrator, as much as we love and adore them, are the perfect fits.
Sure. And I mean, so for me, I've written a few books with Jason Clarke being my amazing hero, the war hero and this and that. I would have a hard time writing a book with him in mind being like this terrible person, because
the villain,
he's always, So although, I mean, who doesn't like a bad boy? But
bad boy's different than a villain, though. A bad boy is different than a villain.
Exactly. So kind of, I wouldn't ruin the experience for myself. And it was the same with Cliche. So even though Erin Mellon probably would have knocked the South African accent out of the park, I didn't use the South African accent. And a lot of people get frustrated with me for that. And shame, they actually blame the narrators, which they shouldn't, because it's not the narrator's choice. It's the author's choice at the end of the day. And I was selfish because I wanted my very first book to be my Erin Mellon experience. And I hear the South African accent every day. And we have so many different accents here. I mean, so
it's on the top of the list of hard ones that a lot of the narrators are like, when I ask them that question, what's the most difficult, and that's one of the ones that's listed a lot.
And it can be a kind of hard language too, depending on which sort of dialect you use. So I was like, nah, do it with your American accent. This is for me. And now I'm kind of like, I'm sorry, readers, but really was for me. Because I only thought I was going to do one. I was going to do one and see how it went, and then I was like, no, they all have to go now.
How do you feel about, because it's a bit of a, I don't want to say unpopular opinion, but at the same time it's being talked about more often now. So usually back in the day, it used to be that when there was a series, you would have the same narrator or narrators for the entire series, regardless if each book had a different couple. Now, because there's more series being written that focus on different couples, they're starting to think about, perhaps we should change up the narrators for each couple. Do you feel like for your books anyways, is that something that you're looking at, considering as there's more books coming out and things like that?
Definitely something I did, because you can't kind of, so for Backbeat, it was Zachary Weber and Erin Mellon. And then for Dropbeat, I wanted, because, it's a different person, I wanted a different kind of voice. So I chose sort of to have that. And then when I knew I was going to use, in a series, I was going to use the same voice, I would always give the narrator like a heads up, like you're going to be doing this character. So like, you know, if you're going to make them squeaky or whatever. But I do prefer, that's why with this third book, it's a completely different narrators. And with the fourth, it's also completely different narrators, because you can't have a youngish person with a sophisticated voice kind of thing. You know, I suppose you can. I suppose there's young people out there with sophisticated voices. But, you know, like in my head, my character is like a certain way, and it wouldn't work to have somebody else read that. So I do have different narrators for different people in the series.
Okay. Yeah, I think that works as long as it's the different couples. I don't like when they switch up my narrators when it's the same couple that has an overreaching arc over several books. And I'm like, no.
You can't do that, because you hear I can still hear the voices of lots of characters in my head, you know. So no, you can't do that.
Yeah, it's like, who said why?
I'm getting upset.
Yeah. Well, it's part of that whole conversation occurs on different social media platforms, and we're like, it's part of the experience. There's this or that. I go, but that's also where, again, if it's the same couple over a long arc of books, keep them the same, but totally have fun with it, so long as it fits the right character, and switch it up between couples and books. And I know sometimes people are like, no, we love Jason Clark for everything. And, and the same thing with Aaron. We love Aaron for everything. I go, yeah, so do I. But a girl got, options. And again, love you guys. And also, I also feel like
people
share the love with other authors, for goodness sakes,
Yeah, the narrators. Yeah, and I mean, it's the same as you wouldn't watch a series on TV, on Netflix, and then halfway through the series, your main characters are different people.
Oh my God, they did that for Games of Thrones. I was like, who is that guy? And they're like, that's the other one. I'm like, no, that was not what he looked like in the previous season.
I remember that. How do you? Yeah. I actually remember that. Yeah, you can't do that. It's just, it doesn't work. I mean, unless that person has unfortunately met their demise, but keep them going.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, this is not General Hospital. Or the American soaps. I don't know if you've ever seen those, but here in the States, we have the soap operas, General Hospital, One Life to Live, and all that stuff. And it was always like, you would see it, especially for me, it was like when I was in the summer, because I was out of school. And then come next summer, I'm playing catch up with what's been going on. And I'm like, that's not the same John as the last season's John that I'm like, oh, it's been recast twice.
Yes.
You
got in a terrible fire and you had a face.
Yes. I was like, okay, that's a better believable, okay, fine. I guess I could deal with that.
But yeah, but they plots, sort of have to run to that sort of thing. Yeah. It even bugs me if I'm watching a series and someone cuts their hair and no one mentions it.
Oh yeah. It's like, hello.
What? She did her hair, looks fabulous. Not one of you people have said anything.
I know. I would say exactly. It's one of those things like in real life that would not fly. She would be upset at everybody and not talk to any of you in real life. So don't. It does. Yeah, no, I hear you. So when you're writing all these stories and you're getting all this stuff done and you're, creating these awesome characters that we're going to madly fall in love with, but when you're not doing that, what do you do? So when you're not working, what do you do for fun?
When I'm not working. We like to go and do some exploring. So a couple of weeks ago, we went to some caves. We have a lot of barbecues with friends, or we go out with friends. If I'm just having a chill day at home, I will listen to audio and play a dragon game on my phone. And literally spend hours not moving. So anything. I even knit at times. I can't believe it myself. I was just like, what's happened to me? I turned 40 and now I'm doing things my mom tried to get me to do when I was in school. But yeah, relaxing mostly. I think, as moms and whatever, you're running around most of the time. So whenever I have a spare moment, it's always to spend with friends or family, or if it's complete downtime, just zoning out on a game or something like that. I'm not the most exciting person.
No, or traveling across, traveling across the pond, as people like to say when they're going to England and back. But you're coming to the States for Allure in September, so I'm gonna get to see you, and I'm gonna get to, if we're doing the hugging thing. I ask now?
I'm okay with hugging. I have a friend that's not really keen on hugging, and I was like, girl, you better prepare yourself. You've got months. I'm coming for you. So yeah, very excited. Can't even believe it's happening. Another bucket list thing. So I'm really excited. I haven't even been to Cape Town, which is another province. Yeah, I'm mansplaining, but yeah, I haven't even been to Cape Town, and now I'm going to Chicago. I can't wait. Yeah, definitely, it's gonna be so good.
Yeah. So this is not your first signing, or is it?
Yes, very, very first.
Oh my goodness! So you're traveling to a completely different country. And we're popping your cherry all at the same time.
That's the thing. Yeah, we don't really, unless I just don't know about them, but we don't really have big signing conventions here in South Africa for authors. So yeah, first one.
Well, if you like it when you come over.
I'm not terrified at all.
No. Well, I will say you'll have those moments of, oh my God, it's a lot of people, especially if you haven't done anything. This is going to be my first event in 2.5 years. So I have to people, and I haven't peopled in a long time with this number of individuals, and you get nervous at first, but then you start like, oh, okay. And we have things in common and things in that. And like, we like the same book. And then it becomes like, everybody's been friends for like 15 years, and the nerves drop and things like that. So it was going to be so much fun. And
can't wait.
Yeah, I'm excited for you. And I'm excited to meet you.
So yeah.
So who are you meeting?
And so Ruby and Crystal are friends. We met through them finding Cliche, and we're meeting. And we're actually getting matching tattoos. It's so exciting. Yeah, in Chicago. Can't wait. And we've just been the best of friends for years. We text each other every single day. And we've never met. So I'm going to meet them, and I'm going to meet Erin Shedlock and Jen D. Young and Dakota Willing. Like millions of you.
Yeah.
Like A.M. Johnson. I've got lists of everybody I want to meet. So I think I'm going to be a lot, because I think I'm just going to be a lot, and I can't wait. And my hubby's coming with, so that's exciting. So he's going to be the picture guy. He's going to be taking the photos.
Yeah, we need to get him a T-shirt that says I'm the good-looking husband that carries the books, or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Everybody
keeps wanting to intrude on the lives.
Yeah. Hello, handsome. Yeah,
he'll like that.
Yeah, see, I know how to keep them happy. I know how to keep them the workers happy from that perspective. I know that I always find it completely endearing and adorable when the husbands or the spouses or partners come with the author, or even the bloggers and the reviewers or the fans, and they're there just in awe of the fact that there's this many people in the same space. And then the camaraderie that they see, and then they also see their significant other so happy over a book. And and it's almost like they have that aha moment of over a book, and the secret has been handed to them, where all they have to do is just hold the book, or carry the bags, because there will be bags, guys. If you're listening to this, just prepare the shoulders. There will be bags, And just, now they know that to make them happy, they can just buy them a book. And it's just like, wow, but it's so cute. So yeah, I always suggest buying those the partners and stuff, some of those really cute t-shirts that say something like I'm just here to carry her books and things like that. Or
I'm totally doing that. I'm gonna actually do that for sure.
Or just something in the back that says, hi, my name is Handsome. It's like, hey, Handsome. And they're like, oh, hi.
And just not show him. So just like, put the shirt on.
Put the shirt on. Yeah, exactly. Yep.
And then this is brilliant. These ideas are fantastic.
Well, I'm excited to see you and to see you in this environment and just also just gush over, seeing you sign and getting to know the fans and stuff like that. So it's going to be fun.
Well, I've been stuttering and stumbling over this because I'm so excited. Can you imagine? I probably will just be like, when I see people, look, please can you sign this? You want me to sign that? Why?
well, that's why they have you guys at the table. So you guys that's a little bit of a protective border, right? Because a lot of you guys are introverts. So the people that organize these things and have been doing it for years know that that's a bit of that shield for you. And and I also, you have your pre-orders up and running, right? For those that are attending. So that's one less thing you have to worry about. And so and then just people just running up to you and saying, oh my God, I love the book. It gets you to that point where you're going, you may have that moment of like, you know who I am, or really, but then you're like, oh, what you like about it? And then the conversation starts. And then also, of course, some of the stuff that you might have to sign because the readers and the listeners get creative. I've seen oh my God. Yeah. I went to
wait for that.
Oh my God. It was a Polycon, and it was, oh my goodness, that I literally did a double take. Oh my goodness. It was a bunch of like maxi pads or something like that. And Deborah Anastasia. And I think it was like a running joke with her readers, and it just became a thing. And then I've also seen pillows that have been like in the shape of a penis because of the author. There was just something in the story. I personally have 2 small pillows that look like old-fashioned library cards that have like the place for the date and a signature that you would use to borrow the book out of to kind of keep track.
Oh, that's a cute idea.
Yeah, I go cute. Yeah, so I have one for narrators and one for authors. And
that's cute.
And so that's that. I go cute. Anything from book covers to Kindle devices covers to mats. You'll see it all. Because
I'm just like, how do I get to my favorite people in time? Like I'm signing, but there are going to be people in there that I want books from. So
this is where you get Handsome to help you out with that.
Yes.
You'll have some, you have Handsome get the signature and say, hi, my name is Handsome, and I'm Ryleigh's husband. Can you just sign this piece for her? She's over there signing and she's just too shy or whatever. And then you'll get that, and then someone else will help you with the line.
That's a good idea. I'm going to have to do that. Yeah. And then if they walk past me, try not to scream out their name and I beg them to talk to me or whatever.
Oh no, there was a couple of conventions where there was one that would attend that was known. There was a couple of us that were like, is she here? Because it was that high pitch. So I feel for your daughter. It was this high pitch, bloody murder scream of excitement. And every single time that she saw one of her authors that she wanted signed, it was that pitch in the name of the author. And it's like,
that'll be me.
Oh yeah. The first time we like, something's wrong. What's happening? Oh my God, are they okay? And then it became a thing and we're going, oh yeah, she found another one. Okay.
That'll probably be me because I'm just gonna be like, oh my gosh. And when I meet Erin Shedlock, I'm gonna be like, oh, I love your work and I love the way you read. And
he's a sweetheart.
He's probably just gonna be blinking at me going like, what?
No, he's super sweet. Yeah, he's super sweet. I've had the pleasure of meeting with him in a couple of signings already. He's super sweet. So
he actually, when he started reading Risky Rockstar, he messaged me and said, I don't know what it is, but I am so connected with your character, and
Aw.
this is just amazing, and I haven't felt like this in a while. And I was like, what? Like, are you crazy?
Well,
about.
Don't ask them that. They might answer you and you're not. No.
Well, that's the thing. It'll just be like, I'll have to, sort of bite my tongue and not be,
You'd be surprised.
fangirling all over the place.
No, you'll be to the point where they make you feel welcome and just happy and just to be there.
And just wonderful people.
Yeah.
I just can't wait. I haven't stopped talking about it. I have everything planned. I have all my dates down. I have all the snacks I'm bringing.
Good.
I've got everything done. And I just can't wait. So I'm bringing loads and loads of South African treats.
Nice. Okay. So, but you also did make some time to step out of the hotel, right? And do some sightseeing.
Oh, yes.
Because Chicago's gorgeous.
Can't wait. So with Ruby and Crystal, their hubbies are coming along. And they're doing sort of family vacations. So we're going to be going to the aquarium.
Yay,
360 and
the bean.
And, yes, we have to do that. And then doing our tattoos and going to the Navy Pier, and it's all planned. I don't know how we're going to fit everything in, but we kind of just going to be like, oh hi, we saw this. So if I'm falling asleep at my table when I'm signing, it's because I'm going to probably be extremely jet lagged and like spend all the days in the sun.
Yeah, no, it's funny too, because a lot of people that don't know about Chicago, they think it's this huge city, but where everything is, all that, like the aquarium and the museums and the pier, it's really relatively close to also where the hotel is. So that's a good thing. And so you won't be spending that whole time traveling to and from. So you'll have more time. So that's a good thing. Yeah.
I think we've got it pretty well planned, because we're like, okay, what if we do this? And then we go for a tattoo, and then we go to the meet and greet.
So, are you doing Prohibition and the Fire and Ice gala?
I'm not doing Fire and Ice, but I'm doing the Prohibition.
Okay.
So I'm excited about the Prohibition night. And because we're coming from South Africa, it's tough to plan your wardrobe, and I have to bring stuff.
Oh yeah, I know.
So I was just like, okay, I'm not going to be able to, bring a really fancy dress and all of that. So
trust me, that was my thing. I'm like, okay, as I'm shopping and looking at things, I'm like, how puffy is it, and how much space it's going to take up in my thing? And I'm not even going across. Yeah.
Yeah, we're only allowed something like, well, I don't even know how much it is in pounds, but like 20 kilograms. It's just nothing. And I'm planning on bringing gifts, so it's going to be interesting. Everybody might see me in the same thing for the entire week.
Yeah. See about I know that's significantly more expensive because you are in a different country, but it might be worth it a little bit to see about shipping some stuff over, versus you taking them along, because that way you don't have to worry about carrying and all that fees.
Well, I'm very blessed because Crystal is bringing all my books.
Nice.
And I've ordered all the swag and sent it to her.
Good.
So
yay.
She's doing
You're all
that.
set.
I'm
You're
set.
all
So
set,
it's just I'm bringing little bottles of amarula, which is an African cream liqueur drink for my table, and then I've got it's so delicious. And then I'm bringing sweeties. So that's what I'm bringing from South Africa, and all the book stuff is coming from the US.
Yes. So when we see in the news, author attending convention in Chicago gets stopped at the airport for all the liquor she's bringing. No.
Yeah, I think we're allowed 3 liters. So if I add it up, I'll make Handsome.
Have Handsome help you out with that.
I'll put it in his bag, so if he gets stopped, I can keep coming.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh God, it's gonna be fun. I'm excited that you're going. When I saw the name, I was like, yay, good, she's coming. I kind of get to meet her in person.
Very excited.
It'll be fun, and for your fans too. So one of the other things I think it's fun is, kind of getting to know you guys as my guests a lot better too, is to have a fun round of 2 truths and a lie, where you tell us 3 things about you, and we have to figure out which is the lie. And so if you're ready to tell us your 3 things.
Sure. Okay, so I have a tongue piercing. I'm adopted. and I'm a green belt in karate.
Green belt. Okay. Let's see. All right. All very possible. All very plausible. Yep. Good. Okay. I want to see the lie is a tongue piercing.
Yes, you got it. I did actually want to go and pierce my tongue in my 20s, and luckily the lady was out to lunch. Not out to lunch, the figure of speech. She actually was having her lunch. So yeah.
You didn't get it done.
So I'm glad I didn't do it now. I don't think I'm a tongue piercing kind of girl. I think I was just having a moment. It's having a midlife crisis at 20.
Yeah, no, it was very popular for a while. But I could tell that you didn't have it pierced because of there's some words that even with an accent, they can tell when there's a tongue piercing,
Yes.
And that's because there's a little bit of a list and stuff like that. I've had people sometimes, because I have a bit of a list on certain words. I'm like, no, I don't have it. My twin sister has her tongue pierced, not me. And
you've got a twin.
I do. Fun. Yeah, no, there's moments of fun, and there's stories too that I could tell you. Oh my God, that is not so fun. But then also, we'll have to go over drinks. Yes, definitely. I'd be like, girl, about that.
Remember we had that discussion about the twin. Wow.
Yeah. Here's some fun things and tips for your next book.
Oh yeah. I'll take my notepad. I'll pen some.
Yeah. But no, so I figured that one, and I'm like, I can see the green belt and stuff like that, and everything else, and the adoption that happens so often, and that's a good thing. So I'm like, okay. Mm-hmm. So yeah. So we'll have to talk about all this fun stuff later. So and on the next episode, we'll talk about how she kicks ass in real life.
When I started with my girls, and we were in the kiddie class together because they wanted me to do it with them. And there were 10-year-olds that were beating me up. And
sorry.
It's true. And there's a little girl, Hannah, and she used to kick my ass every week. And we're in different classes now because I've grown up. And every time I see her, I'm just like, Hannah. And she's this innocent child. Mm-hmm. But there will be a book with a Hannah. And she's not going to be a good.
Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm. I relate. My mom was very much in, you guys have to learn self-defense, especially the girls. And so she involved the three of us. So it's myself, my twin sister, and then our younger brother in martial arts. And then she decided to join. And man, when we would get grounded or she would say no to us, and I was like, all right, pick your sparring partner. And I'm like, you here. and the rule was you can't get mad if we kick your ass because you decided not to keep your hands up, mother.
Exactly. That's the thing. And now, because I'm with my team, and she really can pack a punch. Oh. And they always put us together. Like, I'm sure she's getting those, teen moms are really frustrations out on me.
Oh, yes. I'm like, I'm not your mother.
Yeah. So Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm a little worse for wear. We're not going this Tuesday because it's school holidays. It was school holidays. So yeah, I'm not very great. When I come out of there, I'm just like crawling into my car.
Oh. Well, I mean, at least you now don't have to worry about a name of a character that's the evil, doer. So you're set there.
Exactly.
Sometimes naming the characters can be a bit like, that's
the worst part of the book. That's the worst part, is naming the character.
So now you have one down, Hannah. And so you're all good there.
Hannah.
Yeah, I feel you. Yep. Yeah. My twin's like, remember that time that
all the Hannahs out there?
No, yeah. Even with the siblings, I remember the times where my sister's like, remember that time that you borrowed my shirt without asking my permission? And poof. I'm like, oh, damn it, Francis. Shit, bro.
Yeah, we pick on my husband. He cannot walk past the doorway without getting attacked. So he's kind of all twitchy now, but he'll You'll eventually learn how to beat us back or whatever.
Yeah, it's okay, handsome. You'll find your ways. You'll find your ways. Trust me. You'll get them back. Don't worry. You'll get them back.
Yeah, exactly.
The books will be signed, "Dear Ryleigh, your husband is, awesome. You're so lucky."
Yeah, or something like, prank. Oh, yeah, we shouldn't give him those ideas.
No,
He'd probably, come up with terrible things for them to write in the books here.
Yeah, no, or just all raving about him. Yeah, that's all it is. Yeah. And they're like, "Oh my God, you're so lucky. He's so hot."
Stop beating on your husband.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see why your heroes are so hot, Ryleigh. My God. Yeah. Oh, he's gonna come up to me and be like, "What were those ideas again, Viv?"
Yeah. When I see you, I'll be like, "Can you go and fetch me something from the room?" So you never meet the whole time.
It's okay. I'll know who he is with a t-shirt that says handsome.
Yeah.
Goodness. Before we go, why don't you tell us what you're currently working on? I know that we talked about it a little bit, but and also what's coming up next for you.
Okay, so I'm doing Run Beat, which is the third book in the Heartbeat series. It's a book about Playboy Josh and Shannon. So Shannon was actually Keller, who's in Drop Beat's ex, and she needs a whole lot of redeeming. And so I'm working on that. It's a complex book, but I'm loving every minute of it. It's so interesting writing a character that people perceive as one thing, and I know there's more to him. So I can't wait for the readers to get to know both of these characters more and understand why they are the way they are. So I'm having tons of fun with that, and that will be released spring. And then I've got an anthology out, but nothing's been released about that, so I can't say anything. Mm-hmm. And then the last book in the Heartbeat series. So that will be all kind of next year's releases.
My goodness, that's good. We have lots of things to look forward to. Yeah.
And so, and with audio too. Well, the two of mine will definitely be audio.
That's awesome. No, definitely. Yeah, it would definitely be fun. And then again, in between all that, the Allure event and, posting on social media and like, look what I'm doing. I'm getting a tattoo. And then we're like going to start speculating. I'm like, so this trip, I wonder if it'll be in a book 4 or 5 down.
Sure. Probably will. Yeah. Happen in Chicago. Tattoo artist and South African girl.
Yeah, right.
My husband will be like, what?
Yeah.
Who was this person?
Well, he wears a shirt that says handsome, honey. I mean, come on. Who do you think it was?
Exactly. It's all you, babe. All you.
I said it again. I'll still do it again. I got you, boo. I got you. I got your back.
Thank you.
Well, this has been so much fun. I am so excited. And thank you again for taking the time to chat with me. I appreciate you and your time. It's been so much fun. Guys, if you're not following her on social media, I'm going to include all the links in this episode over at Viviana, Enchantress of Books, so you guys can follow along and see all her photos when she goes to Chicago and get all the book goodies and all that, and all her oral fun stuff that's coming out too. So thank you again.
And thank you so much for having me. Really, so great.
Thank you. Until next time, happy listenings.
Thank you to all of our Audiobook Lovin Podcast Patreon. Special thanks to Nixley Zenner, Carol Liebner, Brittany Robinette Leiter, Dawn Darch, Michelle Bastard, Brandy Schmidt, April Branson. The Audiobook Lovin Podcast has special Patreon access levels. Join today to receive benefits including early access to episodes, shout-outs, special exclusive content, and much more. Support the podcast by becoming a Patreon at www.patreon.com/audiobooklovin. We thank you for your support.
Thank you for joining us on the Audiobook Lovin Podcast, hosted by Viviana, Enchantress of Books. For links and more information discussed in today's episode, previous podcasts, or the Audiobook Lovin Series, please visit our website, vivianaenchantressofbooks.com. If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave a positive review wherever you listen to our podcast. Until next time, happy listening.